At Growth Vue, we talk a lot about making impact through our investing. At the end of the day, putting together multifamily syndicated deals is not that complex. You raise the money, you find the deal, you find the debt, and you put the deal together. And yes, making money is an incredibly important part of what we're doing here. But the reality of it is we're all chasing time. And I ask investors all the time, if I gave you back your time and I gave you back your money, what would you do alternatively? And they tell me incredible stories about their charities, about incredible products that they want to create, and things and missions that they're incredibly passionate about. And that's the story that we want to share. That's the stuff that really gets us excited, because your vibe attracts your tribe. And we want more people who want to make more impact through their investing, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do. We have this one incredible life to live. And so we're taking this series and we're pulling back the Iron Curtain, and we're talking with our investors and sharing their stories so that we can find more people who want to join our tribe. Hey, welcome back to episode number 3 of the Investor Series, and today we're speaking with Bobby Shell. Bobby Shell is a career digital marketer, he's an entrepreneur, and he's incredibly passionate about cryptocurrency and real estate, and he uses his platforms through digital marketing as a director of marketing at a large marketing and technology company here in Northern Colorado to really share the power of real estate investing and the type of impact you can make through creating passive income and financial freedom. Bobby, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you, Samson.
Hey, dude. So you and I have been friends for a long time. Like, we go pretty far back. I think I was part of the reason why you came to Colorado in the first place. But why don't you tell everybody about who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you're at right now?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Southeast. My dad was a Walmart manager for about 20 years. So I was born in Mississippi, raised in Alabama, lived in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. We moved a lot because my dad is a Walmart manager. I always joke around and say it's a military of retail. They worked him to death, and he got a little tired of that because they were trying to have him not go see me play my t-ball games and stuff, and he wanted to kind of break free and do his own thing. So he moved into real estate. We lived in Florida for a while, graduated with a sales and marketing degree. And my inspiration for that was my father. He actually helped me in first grade. When kids sell gift wrap, a lot of parents, when their kids are selling cookies or gift wrap, they go to work and sell it for their kids. My dad would actually walk door to door with me every day after an 8-hour workday, and he'd stand like 4 doors down. So when I'm knocking on the door, parents aren't pressured, to buy from this kid because they see the parent out on the road. And he just taught me how to sell, like pushed me into like uncomfortable positions, and did that, won the school contest at the age of 11, started my own lawn mowing company, been an entrepreneur since I was a child. That went incredibly well, learned about how to manage finances, and then, graduated with my degree, moved to Colorado. My good friend Josh connected me with Madwire and you guys, and been here 8 years, and it's been a great jumping off point to helping me, work towards financial freedom.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things that I've always appreciated about you from day one is you always think outside the box, and you're not afraid to just be yourself. And sometimes you're goofy and silly and you think differently than a lot of people do. That includes like music, writing music taste, talking about financial literacy, investing. I think for a lot of years, people called you the kooky Bitcoin guy. And now people are starting to really like believe like, oh, wow, shit, this really has some legs. You know what I mean? So, what is it about Bitcoin specifically that is so like motivating and encouraging to you? I know this is a real estate show, and we're talking about real estate investing, but it's all financial literacy. It's all about like means to an end and create impact. But why Bitcoin?
Yeah. So we joke around and call it number go up technology, because when there's a limited scarce like monetary system like Bitcoin, it's like the price can only go up because you can't just print more and devalue it. That's why people invest in real estate. They want to protect their assets because inflation's a real thing, and protect their finances. But for Bitcoin, what really got me inspired was knowing it was limited and scarce, knowing it was decentralized, knowing how it's infinitely divisible. And it wasn't like in America, people just think about buying Bitcoin and getting rich, going to the moon and coming back down and doing that over and over again, which it has done. But the really cool thing about it is in history, like in 2013 in Cyprus, their debt to GDP was like 300% or something. And then overnight, instead of a bailout, where they bail out companies, they do a bail-in, and they steal money from people who have their cash in the bank. And overnight, you lose 75% of your wealth. That's not okay with me. You know, I've got a heart for people, and I want to like educate people about economics, finance, all this good stuff. But when I realized that, and people were like working to get their money out of the standard rails into Bitcoin, where you can travel anywhere with it and be financially free and protect yourself from inflation, that got me excited, So
Yeah, I agree. I think people don't fully understand, under President Roosevelt, right before the Great Depression, they made it illegal for people to own gold, made people turn in their gold, and then jacked the price up 69%. And so, there's a lot of money sitting in cash. I mean, as the interest rates continue to go down, right, that at a certain point makes it negative. Like in some countries, there's negative interest rates, right? So your cash is losing value every single day. And so that's why we talk a lot about hard assets and owning things that are income producing, where you can pass on the inflation essentially to your end user, which in this case would be your renter. But when you're talking about stores of value like Bitcoin, you're talking about something that's like equivocal to gold, right? And gold at one point was, useless until we decided that it had some sort of value.
Yeah.
But I think the other part too that people don't understand is our monetary policy is really a way that the government uses to control the people. And so this whole concept of like a decentralized currency takes that power completely out of the government's hands. You and I talk a lot about this: Keynesian economics versus Austrian economics, laissez-faire, small government, power to the people. Bitcoin does a lot of that, and it's just an exchange medium, right? It's no different than converting dollars to yen, right? I could convert Bitcoin to yen tomorrow if I wanted to.
And if you measure the stock market in Bitcoin, because all it is a unit of account, people hold there's over 200 currencies. People hold all of them on their balance sheets. So when people say, oh, Bitcoin's nothing, no, you're wrong. You need to actually read a little bit. Bitcoin is a unit of account. If you're looking at the stock market in terms of Bitcoin, the stock market's down 35% this year. There's a lot of organizations who are adding Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. MicroStrategy and Square are two of them. Right. And a lot of billionaire hedge fund managers are slowly unreeling the fact that they have a position. Druckenmiller the other day, one of the top macro investors of the last 30 years, averaging 30% returns. But we don't have to get into that. That news is everywhere. But people will be using it as a unit of account, whether or not they want to in the future, because it's all about measurement, right? It's about accounting and running the numbers, as a real estate, professional would know.
Yeah, exactly right. And at the end of the day, what we're all trying to do is take our money and put it to work, deploy the capital so that we can create income for us in the future. I think that, traditional investing has this mindset of like a save first mentality instead of a deploy first mentality. And there's this race to death model, which is, you need $3 million, needs to produce, 5% per year for you to live this lifestyle at retirement. That's talking in dollars, right? But like, what if, inflation's at all-time highs in 10, 20, 30 years? You're going to need twice as much income or twice as much cash in the bank. And so having hard assets and things that store value is ultimately the game. That's what we're playing, right?
Absolutely. That's right.
So if you had all the money in the world to fund your lifestyle, what would you be doing alternatively? Right now, you're a director of marketing, you're a top producer, a leader at Madwire, Marketing 360, a large marketing and technology company, something that we're both a part of. And I think that it's been an amazing journey and ride, but I think that everybody deep down inside has this, I don't know, there's this thing that they feel like they should be doing that they're not doing, because at the end of the day, they got to pay the bills and they got to provide for their family. So what would that thing be for you?
Yeah. So right now, at work, we have a 1 hour lunch, and 4 to 5 days a week, that 1 hour lunch is going to someone teaching them about Bitcoin, like people reaching out. And I love dropping little hints of it here and there. I don't try to preach about it hardcore, but I love just putting my time into that and just helping people learn about finance. So I would definitely be doing that, just trying to make an impact in the community I'm in. And I lived in the South, lived in Colorado. I'm not a person who wants to move a ton. Like, I like getting my feet in and, making an impact in that area. But if I had, like you said, all the money, what would I do with my time? I would want to spend time with my child, who's due next year. Me and my wife are pregnant, and, educate them, teach them how to love people, get to know their friends, their families that they're surrounded with, and, make an impact on them. Help, young kids that maybe don't have a father, that need guidance in life. My wife has a heart for special needs kids and like people after high school or college, like there's not really like jobs for them. And it's been a popular thing over the last decade, people opening up like bakeries. And then, you know, people with special needs can work there, and we have a heart to do that. That's actually something we are actively working on to do in the next 5 years.
Sweet.
But yeah, getting present at church, and just, you know, people have always said, like, for me, like, I always inspire them to find what they enjoy. Like, all my best friends, like, they always come to me 10 years later and they like tell me that. And that's always like made me excited. And I was like, what if I could do that for, you know, 1,000+ people? And that's where my heart's been, you know, like, I like mixing comedy with it too, like getting goofy and a little like satirish because the world needs it. Like, I hate how comedy is being stripped away of everything that like helps people.
Comedy used to be like, you know, nobody was off limits, right?
Yeah, so I want to like keep that real, but, you know, with respect to like honoring people's like heart, but like, you know, bring comedy to stuff and just like have fun, make an impact, and like really try to like change the community I'm in, teaching people like how to just love each other more, you know, not be just caught up in just in this worldly stuff. Teach people about finance, teach people about sales and marketing, and just help young men, you know, craft who they are to make an impact in the world. And let's not kill masculinity. Let's bring men back to being men.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, you said the biggest thing in there, which was just make an impact, right? And having a bigger platform. And we were so focused on ourselves and making money to fund our current lifestyle. Life is not cheap. Having a good life is not cheap, right? But that can be a very like selfish outlook on the world, you know. And ultimately, if more people thought like you did and like we did, which is, it's not really about me, it's about the bigger my platform is, and the more people that I can help, ultimately the more impact. I'm more concerned about how many people are going to show up in my funeral, right? And less concerned like how many dollars I'm going to have in the bank account. That's just a byproduct, right? That's just like the scoreboard for how much impact you're actually making on people's lives, you know. Yeah. When did you get when did like the switch click for you to say like I'm really going to take control of, you know, my financial future? I really want to start deploying and investing capital. What was it? Was it a moment in time? Was it just a thought process? Because your dad's a, you know, top 1% real estate agent, pretty savvy cat as it relates to just real estate and investing, and successful. But I feel like we all have this moment or this thing that.
Yeah. Whenever I did my lawn care company as a kid at the age of 11, my dad like sat me down with a sheet of paper. And he was like, you know, 25% to savings, 10% to tithing to the church, 35% for yourself. I'm trying to do math in my head. It's like 20% would be like maintenance and like paying my dad off in a loan because he got me my lawnmower and my weed eater. So I learned about debt. I learned about saving. I learned about tithing and just not all being about me. And then I would see like mowed a yard for $40, and it's like, whoa, I only had $12. I got to do volume, you know? Yeah. So he taught me that at a young age. And, you know, when I worked at Starbucks, I had a hunger then to like grow. It was like between 2007 and 2009. They would match us. I'd put 25% of my paycheck in it and live frugally. None of my friends really did. They put like 2-3%, but I was aggro with investing. And, you know, it was like $4, $6, $7 a share, putting 25% of my paycheck in, and they were matching it. And I love watching that bad boy grow. I had to sell it to get a car because I got in a car accident and I was crazy back in the day. But whenever I got a job at Madwire, I just like, you know, you start improving at your job, you make commission. And it just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to buy like the Jordans and the Nintendo games I didn't get as a kid because my parents raised me frugally. Like they wouldn't buy me stuff, you know, they'd say, you got to earn it. And it just got to a point where I was like, you know, I should get a house. And I got a house. And then upon owning a home, you get even more rigid in your spending. And I learned about real estate investing through a friend, Paul, who used to work at Madwire. And he was like, I'm going to own 10 homes. And his whole financial story, I was like, awesome. And then got into bigger pockets, you know, started talking to you. And I said, Samson, man, I want to raise capital and be a partner one day at a syndication firm. And Samson guy's he's like, Bob, I'm already doing that, bro. And I was like, word? It was like a year ago. And I was like, sweet, I'm going to keep crushing my W-2, like, you know, working hard, learn from this guy. And he's been on absolute fire with it. Like, it's so cool to like see what you're doing. And, you know, you're an inspiration with me on that, but it's just, my father raised me that way. You know, I had like stock matching that pushed me further. Then I got a job where I could actually do this stuff. And it just changed the game. Like when I started accounting for like my net worth and like building a game plan, it just became a lot of fun.
Yeah. What made you say passive investing was the right path to go?
Um, People far smarter than me said it was good. Everyone who got into single family, they said, I wish I would have gotten into commercials sooner. And like when I heard that like 5 times from people that are 10 times more wealthy than you and I put together, I was just like, okay, that's all I need to hear. Tax advantages. This is good.
Yeah, I think that's the part too. It's just strength in numbers. Back to this like selfish mindset versus this growth mindset of, we do it together. Like nobody, the vast majority of people are not taking down apartment complexes by themselves. Even at the largest scale, like you want to go take down a $650 million building, like that tower that just got taken down in San Francisco. That's multiple banks, multiple entities, multiple groups all coming together to decide to put money into that deal in order to take down that property. And that's really the difference, right? If I'm selfishly just trying to collect all this money and do it by myself, then you're going to really play the small game, and it might take you 15, 20 years to get 10 units. Or you could just participate, go crush it in your W-2, be a top director of marketing, be a doctor, be an entrepreneur, top salesperson, whatever it may be, and then just parlay that income into somebody else who's actively investing on your behalf and effectively get the same, if not better, return in a safer, more consistent asset class.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to share is like, there's all this like stuff you see on CNBC. It's like, don't stop having coffee. Don't stop eating out. Here's how you manage a mortgage. Like it's about the big debt you get. And I agree with that to an extent, but I know as someone who had 12 grand in college debt, because I went to a junior college and I had to work 80 hours a week. I believe in like, cutting back on the BS, the coffee, eating out, like 70% of Americans, 60, 70% can't afford the home they're living in. They're living outside of their means. And majority of people can't afford that unexpected bill. And whenever you as a person can cut back, even if it's saving $200-300 a month, you do that for a year straight and you have 3 grand, somehow you can allocate that and get, 5 to 10% yearly. That's an extra 150 to 300 a year. And if you can live that way and be frugal and have what we call a low time preference,
Yep.
meaning considering the future more valuable than now. Like I'm not going to watch Netflix. I'm going to work out. I'm not going to go have this coffee and pay $2. I'm going to go buy a $5 5-gallon thing from King Soopers and have coffee for the next 4 months. Which is
right.
Hey, I don't care, bro. But I think there's a lot of value in that. And I would love on another time, we talk about how to bankroll that into the future. But yeah, man, it's about being frugal, like not trying to live outside of your means. And when you really get the ball rolling, it is insane, like the impact it can make to like get you where you want to go.
Yeah. Live below your means, invest the difference. That's the name of the game at the end of the day. You have a cool story, and you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but I want to kind of like go back. You talked about kind of living wild and free. Like you lived in your car for a while and just we're just bumming up like a hippie. But
Yeah.
that was probably a pretty impactful time in your life. A lot of what makes you grateful for what you have. Few people can say, hey, I'm willing to just do that. Like I'll go live way below my means and do whatever it takes in order to make it happen. So
yeah, I always had a great home, parents that love each other, never heard them fight, loving family. But one time, like I disrespected my mom, came home late and they were like, you're gone. I was like, okay. So I had a little 4-cylinder Saturn and we were pulling my VW bus with a 6-foot rope. So it wasn't a trailer where it's locked in. So if the guy driving the bus behind me didn't break, they're going to hit me. And we drove from Pace, Florida to Pensacola, like a 25-minute drive. It was scary. And I parked it in this lady's backyard who was a regular at Starbucks. And she let me plug my VW bus into her power. And I lived in that for about 2.5 months. And to get by, like I used to like I dumpster dive at Krispy Kreme and they would just throw like stacks of donuts in there. And I would pull one out of the middle because it didn't touch the trash can. And I would buy like canned food and eat stuff out of the can because it was cheaper and it was healthy. It was veggies, I'm not going to go eat Chick-fil-A every day. I rode my bike everywhere. In junior college, I would take a shower at the college. I looked good every day. I smelled good every day. No one would have known, but it was a choice I made. And I wanted to do it because I knew it would keep me humble and just sharpen my mindset where if shit gets tough, I can tell someone I did it. I can tell my child I did it.
Right.
And even when, like you remember, whenever I started at Madwire, I had no tooth and hair down to here.
Yep.
I chose not to get my tooth put in because I wanted to force myself to be uncomfortable, to learn how to smile without it, to be proud, to like be missing a freaking tooth. Like I wasn't a hockey player where it was like I was flexing on girls and stuff, I had to step out of my comfort zone, and I really enjoy doing that. And I think there's a lot people can learn from those experiences in life.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, delayed gratification, the ability to just humble yourself. And yeah, I mean, even now, I think this year has been pretty crazy for a lot of people, and restructuring of pay, and kind of overhauling your life, figuring out what's actually important to you, ultimately, that chasing that time. This year, for me and my wife, was it was, our pay was cut, but we had enough passive income that it didn't really impact our life. And I think that's the power of what we're talking about here, is that delayed gratification. Live below your means, invest the difference, deploy capital, build passive income,
Yeah.
can really set you up like 10 years from now. And we tend to really overestimate what we can get done in a year and undervalue what we can get done in like 5-10 years.
Yeah.
So as you're sitting here looking at your life going forward, and you're thinking about, you're investing today, what's the type of legacy that you want to leave behind you?
The legacy for me is, I want my wife to be completely taken care of, my child, and I want to raise my family the way my dad raised me, where no matter how bad or how well we have it, we're going to know what work ethic is required to make an impact in your own life and those around you. I want to continue to just love people where they're at, be like a reflection of Christ. I'll admit I'm a little wild, like at times, like goofball, we all got a little sinner in us, obviously.
Yeah.
I just have a heart for people. I want like people to show up to my funeral, like you said, and they're like, man, Bobby was just passionate about teaching stuff. And whenever they talk about me, I want them to say, Bobby shared this with me. Bobby shared that. Like, Bobby made me laugh. He was always willing to do this. And it's just, I get life out of that. Like, I had a friend the other day who's like, I never thought I would learn how to save money or I'd have savings, but I have a full Bitcoin now. And that's incredible to think of. And it's like, when I hear people tell me that who didn't believe they could do it, I'm just like, that's incredible, dude. I don't have anything else to say. Like, this is so cool. Like, knowing you can like change people's lives like that just by being like positive and encouraging for them. So that's it. A reflection of Jesus, and just, making an impact, giving people hope whenever the government and all these people are trying to suppress like our freedoms.
Amen, dude. I agree with you 100%. If you have any piece of advice or any knowledge that you want to drop on people, here's your platform to inspire people. What would you tell them?
Don't trade options.
Yeah, you have a great story about that. We talked about that. I remember telling you when you got that option to not do it, but those that have ears to hear shall hear.
Yeah, I dropped 2 or 3 years of Robinhood trading where I was 40% up into a Facebook option, lost it all immediately. I've made it back 3 times since investing in like Bitcoin and real estate. But yeah, if I had to share something with someone, I would say learn what bank rehypothecation is. You can hit me up on Twitter or anywhere later. You'll have my info. Learn about what rehypothecation is. There's a great book by Tom Wheelwright. It's Robert Kiyosaki's tax advisor. It's called Tax-Free Wealth. That will really get your wheels turning. Tony Robbins, his book, he has 2 books. There's Money Master the Game, which is huge, and there's another one, Unshakable. That one's incredible. Yep. Those things really kickstarted me, and then I just went down an insane rabbit hole with all these things I'm into, but those are good for the beginner. But I would just say live frugal, save, get to 3 to 6 months savings, and then start putting that money to work. I personally believe in Bitcoin. I think you should also learn what dollar cost average means. Dollar cost average into your crypto positions, into your stock positions. And when it comes to real estate, there's a great book as well by David Green. It's about real estate investing out of state. If you do need to start small and you don't have a lot of money, and you can't, put in like maybe 50 grand into a deal, start there. You can get homes in Detroit, Kentucky, Florida, where you only have to put, 10, 15K down. That's it. Work at a restaurant for a year, pay for it with that. But just basics, I could go way down the rabbit hole in terms of like crypto, how there's 14 trillion in bonds yielding negative debt. And that's why people are buying real estate. Stocks are overvalued, like the depreciating dollar. But I'm here to help people with their beginnings. So those things I shared before, rewind it 2 minutes, write those down, and feel free to hit me up. Like, I love spending any waking moment just helping people understand this stuff and taking the 10,000 hours I put in and just turning it into like, 50 hours for you so your life's easier.
Yeah, man, I think the biggest thing that people can take away from that is just self-education is incredibly, incredibly important. We rely way too much, even on doctors and financial gurus to do it for us. You see it all the time, like on a small scale, when an athlete signs a big contract and makes a ton of money, and they hire this financial planner. This financial planner is supposed to be looking out for them, and they just put all this trust into them. I think one of the things that you've done really good is you're good at vetting and spending time with like sponsors from an investment standpoint if you're investing in. And then the way that you just kind of look at all of your investing is through that dollar cost averaging mindset. You can even do that with real estate. It's people are always waiting. There's no such thing as market timing. There's just good risk management. There's risk in every deal. So how do you control that? And how does the group that you're working with control the risk?
Yeah.
We believe obviously as you get more scale, you buy the right type of asset, B grade multifamily, you have more doors, you are very conservative in everything that you do, that's how you win the long game. So I think, people can take that away and invest a lot of time into their own education, and just find a good sponsor and people that you trust, and then just roll with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, at the end of the day, I can't take any of this money to heaven. I've lived poor. Like a few months ago when Bitcoin was at its low, I just went absolutely long and I put every penny I could afford into it. And,
I know you did. You're trying to get me to buy more.
Yeah, no, like don't go running around telling everybody this, but I drained my bank account to the lowest it's been in over 10 years because I believed in the asset. And in the last 30 days, it's up 50%. And I work with a syndicator at Marketing 360, and I help them, raise capital and run their ads. And I just told him, dude, all I care to do is exit some of my position and just hand you a ton of cash that Bitcoin makes me. And people who want to kind of know a little more about that, the one thing I would say is don't FOMO in on this cycle and just drop a ton of money, dollar cost average in, because on the way up to this new high we'll have in the next 2 years, there'll be a handful of 20 to 30% pullback. So just be smart. Don't get burned like a lot of people do. If you have held Bitcoin at all over the last 4 years and dollar cost average, there's zero chance you would be down. No time in history. People will tell you otherwise. I'm happy to send y'all information after this to learn about it, to be educated, and don't be greedy, but your life.
Yeah, I think people, it's funny, people are waiting for that black swan moment. 2008 was one of those moments. COVID was one of those moments. And then they don't do anything because they're so fearful that it's going to keep going, right? And so if you're constantly in this mindset of managing risk, regularly deploying capital, and then something like that happens, you just manage your risk, regularly deploy capital, and nothing changes, right? But when all of a sudden the COVID happened and the market fell 30%, I know so many people that were just sitting on their hands, where I got out of the market, got back in, and rode that baby back up,
Man.
All right, bro. Thanks for coming on. How can people get a hold of you? I know you're super active on Twitter, but what are some of those other platforms?
Facebook and Instagram are sucking the life out of humans, so you will not find me on there.
All right.
I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really like LinkedIn either. It's just like a puff and pride game, but I know a lot of good contact goes down there, so you can hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm either Bobby Shell or Robert Shell IV, but all I use is Twitter. My Twitter handle is like the iPhone, Bobby Shell. And you can connect with me on there. Otherwise, you can hit me on email. I can give Samson my email, but I try to stay off social. I only pour my mind into like YouTube, Twitter, and reading, because I'm like everybody else. It doesn't necessarily bring out the best in me when I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
I know it's a hard place to go and just be quiet sometimes. So cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and we're really stoked to have you a part of the investor group, Growth Vue Properties, and just looking forward to what the next 20 years look like, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.